Hi. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about how much does it really cost to live as a medical student in Poland. So the topics that I'm going to be covering in today's video are regarding rent, food, travel, social life, and school stuff. And on the right hand side, I'm going to place some sort of time periods, like mini bullet points, where you can just skip directly into that specific topic that you want to see. So let's just jump straight into it. So the first one being rent. Now, the biggest portion of your monthly budget is most likely going to be spent on your accommodation. So now in Poland, there are two places that you can live as a student, either the dorms or the dormitory that is associated with your university, or the apartments, and also houses as well. I mean, you can get rent a house and so on with a few friends, but that's not a very common thing here, to be honest. So for dorms, let's start with that. The prices can range from 350 zlotys all the way up to 860, 900 zlotys per month. Now, as you can see, it's quite a big range. There is a reason for why there's this big range, because with different prices, you generally in Poland, you pay for what you get. You really do. So for example, like the one which is 860 zlotys or about 900 zlotys per month, you're going to be getting your own room. You will not be sharing your room with anyone at all. So you'll have your bed, your wardrobe, you'll have your study desk, and you'll also have your own bathroom equipped with a standing shower or cubicle shower, wash basin, and toilet. And the kitchen is something that you'll be sharing with your next door neighbor, which he or she will have the same layout as your room. So it will be your room, kitchen, your room, your neighbor's room, and there'll be a door and lock to the kitchen as well, of course. And yeah, that's the sort of rough layout for the sort of more expensive dorm prices, if you want to say. Whereas the ones at the low end, for example, at let's say around 350 zlotys, that can be for 3 people sharing one room, and the kitchen and bathroom might be on separate floors. The bathroom might be on one floor where everyone on that floor has to use, and maybe kitchen might be all the way on the ground floor where maybe the whole dorm uses, or something like that. So as the prices increase, you get better facilities, let's just say. So maybe dorms at around 450 zlotys, you might be sharing maybe with one less person, maybe only with 2 people, but then you guys might actually have a bathroom, but then the kitchen again is on one floor and the whole floor has to share it. So, but then the good thing with the dorms is just that, if something breaks in your room, you can just go call to the reception. There's always people around, people that you know. And dormitory, I think, is something that every university student should experience, especially in the first year. If second year, if they don't like it, that's okay, but definitely the first year, because the first year everyone's going to be living in the dorms, and you don't want to be the person that's living in the apartment and who doesn't actually get to see the people and interact with the people. You are going to miss out. So I highly recommend that you guys do try your best to try and stay at the dorms during the first year. It's a lot of fun, it is. But as you go through the months, it can also not be that great. The bad things about it is just that it's you have no privacy, you can hear things, the walls are thin, if you know what I mean, and you don't have your own space, if that makes sense. But that's something you guys will feel, I guess, if you will feel it when you're at uni. Next is apartments. You can get some really nice apartments, but again, it's on what you pay. Now, apartments can range from let's say around 800 zlotys and upwards for one person at least. Apartments at around 800 to 1,000 zlotys, 1,200 might not be as nice as the apartments with the higher prices. They might be quite small, and some apartments in that price range actually can be, let's say, bad, that even the dorms are better as well. So but the sort of nice apartments, they start from around 1,400, 350, pushing it, but yeah, 400, 450 and upwards. 2,000 is the very nice benchmark. At 2,000 you're definitely going to get a very nice apartment, very luxurious. But of course now you can even share, let's say, like a 2,000 zloty apartment or 1,500 zloty apartment with another person, and boom, that's split bang in the middle. There's so many friends who share. There are couples, boyfriend, girlfriends who share as well, which is perfect. And yeah, now with the apartments, you do get maintenance costs. That depends on the apartment, of course. So generally, the more expensive apartments or the more modern apartments, their maintenance costs are quite high per month. And then gas, electricity and water, well, mainly electricity and water is pretty cheap, to be honest. It depends on how you use it. But to give you like a rough estimate, I know one friend who's staying at an apartment. Her apartment costs about 1,600 zlotys, and electricity and water can cost about 80 to 100 zlotys per 2 months. So yeah. So now moving on to the next topic. Now food, I'm talking on a sort of per weekly basis on how much it can really cost. Now first off, it depends where you shop. You have places like Biedronka, Tesco, Aldi, Lidl, Leclerc. You have so many places. Biedronka, it's like a shop that's everywhere and the prices are cheap. I most of the time shop at Biedronka and sometimes I shop at Tesco. And of course it depends on your diet, but it can be from anywhere from, I don't know, 80 zlotys to 200 to 200, 300 again, depending on anything. But for a sort of normal diet, I don't know what a normal diet, but I'm just saying in my weekly sort of grocery, I have a good balance of vegetables to a good balance of meat, and that can cost me from maybe sometimes 90 to 120, maybe 30, maybe 50 zlotys, depending. And sometimes it can actually be even cheaper because I might have bought so much food the previous week that there's some remaining food, because I might pack it up and put it in the freezer. One day I might not eat as much because I've nibbled on snacks the whole day, so I'm not really that hungry. So so it really depends. But again, this is just to give you a rough estimate as to how much things could cost. Now also water in Poland. Well, here we all have different preferences when it comes to drinking water. Myself, I like to buy mineral water. I like to buy these big 5-liter bottles. They're much cheaper than getting the single 1 liter, 1.5 liter bottles as a 6-pack. So buying many of these saves you a lot of money. I tend to go with a friend and buy maybe about 30 bottles together. We split the cost, so that means that's 15 bottles each. And then we just take a taxi. We also split that as well. And you're going to have water that's going to last you for a few months. It takes some time. It might take an hour and a bit, but that's worth it. Trust me, because you don't want to be going every other day and carrying this 5-liter bottle of water from your closest Biedronka, or people, they like to drink out of the tap water directly, and some people, they actually have an aqua jug where they fill it with tap water. Personally, I don't, mainly because in the dorms, the tap water, at least in my room, is not that great. At times the water has come out quite yellow. It has this sort of strong sulfur/chlorine smell. Some of my friends have said that sometimes sand has even come out of the water as well. So that's why I don't particularly stick with that. I do use it for cooking though. Sometimes I do use it for cooking, not for things like rice where where the water is absorbed, but for more like pasta or stuff like that. And now, because we're talking about food, so now restaurants come under food as well. So with restaurant, now you have a big variety of restaurants. You have your cheap ones, you have your expensive ones, but generally they are affordable. They are affordable. Of course, not on an everyday basis. That is going to add up. There's no doubt. I guess you could say, let's say an average main course could be 25, maybe. I think that could be a good average, because you have meals from maybe 13 zlotys or 15 up to 100 zlotys if you're going for a steak, or even a bit more. Again, depending on what city you are. If you are in Warsaw or Krakow or Poznan, the bigger cities, you're going to have a much bigger variety. You're going to have a much bigger selection of food from different countries, whereas in the smaller cities, it's not as much. Travel. If you are a student, a medical student, or just generally a student in Poland, you are going to get your student card, and that permits you to have a discount of 51% on quite a few things. They could be on tickets to museums and shows, and tickets to things, okay? And especially travel. So traveling as to on the tram, on the bus, and on sort of intercity trains, so trains from Poznan to Warsaw. I'm not sure about trains going out of Poland. I'm not actually sure, because I haven't traveled like that yet. Through trains. So I'm not quite sure about that. Traveling here is very, very cheap. Whatever city you are in, and whatever the prices are for the buses, they'll be the same for the trams, and vice versa. You're going to be looking at, for a student ticket, or in Polish known as ulgowy bilet, that can be either from 1 zloty 50 groszy up to 2 zloty, and then your adult ticket will then be, double, so 2 to 4 zlotys and so on, again depending on the city that you study in. For buses and trams, there's this fantastic app called year.I. Plug in your locations and it just tells you, what buses or what trams you need to get to your destination. Every student has this for sure. And also for the buses and trams, you can get like a sort of monthly ticket. At least in my city, it is like that. I'm not sure about other cities, but in my city, you can take your student card and go to these mini corner shops where you buy a ticket and you top up your card for 45 zlotys. And for one whole month, you have unlimited use of buses and trams. And so as a student, this can be very helpful, especially if you are using these modes of transport to your lecture, then yes, then it can be helpful. But if not, if you are actually for most of your lectures or tutorials, if you're cycling or walking, it most likely is not going to save you money. So make sure for that you actually calculate, and if you want to save money, calculate and see how many times a day do I actually travel and so on, because it can save a lot of money. Especially for me in the first year, it did save a lot of money because pretty much all our lectures and tutorials were at quite a bit of a distance, so we had to use trams and buses. So the places where you can buy your tickets, bus or tram tickets, are going to be on the bus or on the tram itself. Either you go to the driver and ask them, and you have to pay by money, not by card. But also on the tram, you actually have a small flat screen, sort of mini TV, where you can actually tap one student ticket or so on, and then with your card, it has to be a card that can allow contactless payment. You just tap it and boom, it's very easy, very efficient. If you do get a ticket, so a ticket like this for example, you then there's going to be a small machine where you slot it in. And if you do get caught without having a ticket, you're going to be having a fine of 150, 180 zlotys and upwards, again depending on the city. So yeah, I've been in those situations a couple of times unfortunately, and it's not nice. Sorry Dad. Anyway, then you have taxis coming from England. Generally things in Poland are cheaper. They are affordable. They're not too expensive like black cabs in London, for example. So no, nothing like that. But make sure that a small tip, that when you do come to Poland and when you start your university, make sure that you try out different taxi companies, because if you find one taxi company, don't then just like stick to that one, because there are going to be times where that particular taxi company is not going to serve your purpose, as to there aren't going to be any taxis available, or the taxi is going to come in 20 minutes when you actually need a taxi that comes in 5 minutes, and then you don't want to be spending that time searching for new taxi companies. So make sure that you try out different taxis, as many as you can, and save those numbers on your phone. Just a small little tip. And then of course you can buy your own bike. Bikes here are very affordable. You can get it from 100 zlotys and upwards. I like second-hand bikes. In your universities there should be because we all use social media, we have groups for now everything. So in our university we actually have a group called Buy and Sell, because we're talking about bikes, where anyone, normally the older students, if they have some old bikes that they want to sort of give away because they're going back to their home country, they'll just post it on Facebook and for pretty good prices. So yeah, and if you can bring your own bike if you want to, but that is, if you're driving or so on, then that's a pretty good idea. And of course, if you own a car, if you own a motorbike, in the dorms you can park your own car. You have to pay for it. It is very cheap. But of course, make sure, call them up and ask them, because some dorms don't. Also, you have these sort of mini moped scooters that you can actually rent, which is a lot of fun. You download the app on your phone, scan it, boom, and you can just drive wherever. And you also have mini sort of scooters, electric scooters, that you can also travel around, which is also really, really cool. And then the next thing is sort of intercity. So this is traveling from cities to cities within Poland. The 51% discount also applies to them as well. Prices of them can vary. It depends how far the city is. Ones that are about half an hour away can cost about 9-10 zlotys. That's for an adult. But therefore for a student it'll be 5 zlotys, sometimes can be even 3 zlotys. But maybe traveling to far places, for an adult ticket could be 50 to 60 zlotys. For a student, again, that's half, so 25, 30. So it can vary from 10 zlotys to maybe 60 zlotys, I think, but maybe a little bit more. When you visit here, make sure that you try and travel, because Poland it's actually very beautiful. I've been to a few cities and so far I've loved all of them. And the fact that when you have these things like half price on student tickets, it can really save you. And so make sure you guys definitely take the advantage of this half price, and make sure to try and travel within Poland. And for the intercity trains, there's a website called intercity.poland.pl. Go check that out. Then moving on to again, this is also very proportional. The bigger cities have better and many more nightclubs and bars and all those cool things for the nightlife. Whereas the smaller cities tend to have less and not as good. So you can research it online and check it out. And the nightclubs, now their entry fees can be from 5 zlotys to like 25 zlotys. But in the bigger cities, there will be nicer and bigger clubs. So those clubs might be a little bit more expensive. And so far the clubs that are in my city, they're okay. There have been nights where the music has been good. There have been nights where the music has been really bad. It's majority of the time. Wednesday night is student night, so generally the entries of all nightclubs are free, or at least in my city they're free, but I'm not sure in the big cities there might be like a reduced price, or it might be free. And you might have like in the bars as well, there might be some student price for something, so on. So make sure that you ask student discount for everything, okay? Bars are affordable. You know, you can get shots for like 4 or 5 zlotys. You can also get like Jaeger bomb shots for like 45 zlotys, which is not cheap. That's expensive. For 2 shots, that is. Damn, I can't believe I paid that shit once. Oh my god. How much can a night out actually cost? I mean, it depends, because you might drink a lot in the pre-party and might spend less outside. But if you go on a Wednesday, you might not at all even pay for the entry of the club, so that's a bonus. But then you might get a few drinks there, and then after that, or maybe before that, you guys might go to a bar, have a couple of drinks there, maybe go to a shop bar or something, and then at the end you might then end up at some sort of kebab joint, or you might take a taxi and go to McDonald's. So it really can vary from nothing to, I don't know, like 50 zlotys, 50, 60 zlotys, even 100 zlotys. I know people who have spent like 200 zlotys in one night because they've been like, yay, drinks on me! But yeah. This is like lab coats, suturing kits, medical white shoes and stuff. These are things that you can buy at the university. There will always be some sort of small university shop that sells their own like suturing kits and lab coats and stuff. If you have lab coats already, and if you have all these things, make sure to bring them so you don't have to come here and buy them again. In my university, if you had your own lab coat then, and if you had your own things, then it's fine. Like you don't need to buy their things. I didn't own a lab coat before I came to uni, so I had to buy mine at my uni. Mine costed at like sort of 60 zlotys. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, if you guys have any other questions, make sure to leave your questions below, and I'll try to either answer them, or I'll try and maybe collect some new different points and maybe just make one big video about those points as well. I'm also going to be putting out other videos in a few weeks time, also other informations that you guys need to know about Poland, basically. And yeah, so well, I hope this was useful. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you guys did, make sure to leave a comment below. Make sure to hit that like button, and as always, make sure to subscribe, man. Come on, man. Come on. Just come on, do your brother a favor. Click. Simple. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.